Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, April 26, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know that there's been like in your ear recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we have a trough across portions of the eastern Caribbean that's bringing some amount of overcast skies and rainfall to those areas. And we have a trough that's been induced by a cold front that stretches all the way from northern section of the North Atlantic all the way down to the north of the eastern Caribbean. If we also take a look, we can see that the Atlantic is still being dominated by ridges of high pressure, but for the moment these high pressure ridges are not producing strong winds across the region at all. Taking a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can see those clouds associated with that trough across portions of the eastern Caribbean, bring a lot of overcast skies and rainfall to those areas today, and this should continue into tomorrow. Jamaica, not so much at this time. And if we actually take a look at the Climate Prediction Center's recent Global Tropics Hazards Outlook, we can see that from May 3rd all the way through to the 16th, there's a lot of browns across portions of the Caribbean right there. And if we actually take a look at the key at the bottom, the browns indicate below average rainfall. So we're in for a very dry first half of May. Hopefully it changes, considering that that's one of the wettest months of the year for Jamaica, so that we can put some kind of dent in the drought that we're currently undergoing. Taking a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica today before the sun went down, we can see that during the afternoon, even although the morning started off quite hot leading into the afternoon, in the afternoon we had a buildup of clouds across mainly sections of western parishes, so along the border of western Jamaica and central Jamaica, so right there on the border of Middlesex and Cornwall. So we indeed had some amount of overcast skies and rainfall, maybe across sections of southern St. James, southern Trelawney, northern and central St. Elizabeth, and maybe eastern sections of Westmoreland. Taking a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology's website, we had some rainfall indeed across those inland areas of the island, and we could even see some amount of rainfall right there across portions of western Portland. And when we look back at the satellite images, yes, we indeed had some amount of cloud cover right there to the north of St. Andrew across portions of western Portland, so that verifies what we see here. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as usual, as the night progresses, these temperatures should be getting lower. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS have Jamaica embedded in the clear, so we don't have any yellows, oranges or reds that indicate above normal temperatures, and we don't see any light blue to dark blue shades that indicate below normal temperatures. Right now we're in the middle on that scale, and that represents the average temperatures. And what are the average temperatures for the month of April across Jamaica? About 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And if we actually take a look at the thermometer, 88 degrees Fahrenheit is about the equivalent of 31 degrees Celsius. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see that Jamaica is embedded in some amount of yellows and oranges that indicate dry air, but we don't have that robust dry air. That robust dry air, as we can see on the key at the bottom, is being represented by all of the reds and the whites within those reds, and the driest air seems to be right there off the west coast of Africa. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we can see that Jamaica is still in the clear. Majority of the dust associated with the Sahara Desert is across portions of the United States, not to mention portions of the main development region and Africa. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that we're still expected to receive 1 meter wave heights or less, and we can see that on both the Euro and the GFS. And we know that when we have consensus on both maps, the chances of it actually happening are much higher, and that's due to the fact that the winds will still be weak, anywhere from 5 to 10 knot winds still being expected across the island for Thursday, coming in from the east. But where do we have the least amount of winds? If we take a look at the key at the bottom, the least amount of winds are represented by the dark blue shadings. And if we take a look at the Jamaica map, we can see that the darkest blues, or the least amount of winds, are right there across portions of inland areas of central and western Jamaica. And what usually ends up happening in the afternoon hours, we have that buildup of clouds and convection that lead to some amount of afternoon rainfall in those spots. And do we have the upper level support? We have that upper level support coming in from the west southwest, so those upper level winds that might, push off those cumulonimbus clouds or those thunderclouds off towards the east northeast. That is what we're seeing here for 1 p.m. on Thursday on both the Euro and the GFS models. So we have the upper level support in favor of the north coast of Jamaica. So if it's going to be coming in from the west southwest, it's going to be pushing off all of those thunderclouds towards the east northeast, which would more than likely favor maybe Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne. And if we actually take a look at the rain forecast tomorrow by both the Euro and the GFS, we see the confirmation. We see the blues that represent the rainfall mainly across those areas: St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, especially St. James and Hanover. So we have the rain across central and western Jamaica with a bias towards the north coast, especially across sections of St. James. And we see that on the GFS and the Euro model. The Euro model is a bit more robust across St. James with those greens that indicate some more rainfall. What time is this? This is 3 p.m. on both maps. So we indeed have some amount of afternoon rainfall being predicted by both the Euro and the GFS models for Jamaica, especially northern Jamaica, especially northwestern Jamaica. So residents of St. James are definitely in for some amount of afternoon rainfall on Thursday. I will know that when we see consensus or agreement on both models, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Taking a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast, we know that the accumulated precipitation forecast shows all the rainfall expected over the next 24 hours from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday. And we can see the consensus is across portion of northwestern Jamaica, especially considering the fact that they'll be receiving some amount of afternoon rainfall. So we see the consensus on both the Euro and the GFS, but as usual, the Euro is a bit more robust than the GFS, showing up to 0.34 of an inch of rainfall, while the GFS is showing 0.19 of an inch. Either way, there's consensus, and rain is definitely in the forecast. And we're indeed grateful, considering that April is one of the driest months of the year, and we've been blessed so far to get some amount of rainfall, even although May is the secondary rainy season, and the CPC, the Climate Prediction Center, is predicting below average rainfall across the Caribbean. Let's be thankful for the rain that we've been getting in April thus far. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have that trough affecting portion of the eastern Caribbean islands. So everywhere from Guadeloupe southward, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, portions of Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana getting in on some amount of rainfall as well. Taking a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we even have some rainfall as far northeast, even across portions of Puerto Rico. Taking a look at the Doppler radar images from 1:20 p.m. today, we can see the concentration of rainfall across portions of those islands that were just mentioned: Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique. We had some amount of buildup of rainfall in the afternoon hours across portions of inland areas of Puerto Rico and northern Puerto Rico, across portions of San Juan as well. We don't see much in the way of rainfall across portions of the US and British Virgin Islands, but we see the rainfall across portions of Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, maybe portions of St. John, St. Bart's, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, just as mentioned earlier. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, we can see that they're in for some heavy rainfall happening tonight or earlier today. And they're still getting rainfall as we speak. We can see that rainfall moving in a south to northward fashion associated with that trough. Even portions of St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada getting in on some amount of that rainfall as well. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, We can see the mess occurring across portions of the eastern Caribbean associated with that trough, and more rainfall is still to come. You can see some amount of rainfall right there across portions of Suriname and French Guiana. You can see some rainfall right there across portions of Colombia, sections of Guatemala, and portions of Mexico. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that 1 p.m. on Thursday has a lot of above normal temperatures across majority of the Greater Antilles, so anywhere from southern Florida, the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos, Cuba, portions of Hispaniola, portions of the northeastern Caribbean right there, the Leeward Islands. We can see some amount of above normal temperatures anywhere from the ABC Islands, Venezuela eastward, so Grenada, portions of Trinidad and Tobago as well. Not to mention Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras getting in on some amount of above normal temperatures as well. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast, we can see that 2 p.m. on Thursday has majority of the Saharan dust right there across the main development region. Maybe some slight hazy weather across portions of the Windward Islands, so Grenada, St. Vincent, Barbados might get in on some of that, Tobago, but it won't be that robust. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that the highest wave heights are right there across portions of the northern sections of the North Atlantic, as indicated by those purple shadings, which are indicative of 2-meter wave heights or more, and that's due to the fact that the strongest winds, as indicated by the yellows that represent 25 to 30 knots, will be over those areas, while we still have some amount of weak trade winds across the Central Caribbean and portions of the Gulf of Mexico. Taking a look at the rain forecast for tomorrow, we can see that we have a lot of rainfall still being forecasted across portions of the eastern Caribbean associated with that trough, and we can even see some reds in there that indicate up to 1 inch of rainfall. So there is definitely some amount of rainfall in store for the eastern Caribbean islands, and there might be some amount of isolated flash flooding taking place in those spots. So please ensure that you are not that drastically affected. Take necessary precautions, heed the warnings, do not walk across flooded roadways, turn around, don't drown. Taking a look at Hispaniola, we see some amount of rainfall being predicted there. Even moving southward, we see even in the purples across portions of Colombia right there on the GFS. Euro, not so robust, but they indeed still have some rainfall to receive. Even sections of western Venezuela as well. Taking a look at the western portions of the basin, we can see some amount of rainfall being predicted across portions of southern Texas and some spotty showers across portions of eastern Mexico as usual. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.